I'm gonna try my best not to sell stuff.
It's all good. All right, we're gonna be live in like 5 seconds. I'm just gonna wait for this thing to pop up here. Sorry, everybody, we're a little late. I don't know why it takes a while. But anyway, we're live. 15 seconds in. Okay. I don't see it up here, which is super annoying. But let me look in the events real quick because it's been giving me some problems. Happening now. Yep, it's live. Okay, good. Flip Trader, welcome to the Flip
Trader Female Investor Seminar.
Yes. I was trying to get it out. I was like, oh, are they going to say it? Am I saying it? We should have practiced this. No, we have practiced this a lot. You guys are so good at what you do to present. And I'm really honored and grateful to have you here because I've been with you live in LA watching the Female Investor Seminar and bringing you into the Flip Trader group, and the Flip Trader Female Investor group is awesome. So today we're going to be rocking and rolling, talking about the process of flipping a house or wholesaling or even BRRRR. But really we're going to focus on flipping. So who's this for? This is going to be for first timers who are looking to get in, especially females. It's really for everybody, but like we're focusing on the women of the group. It's for people that have done a couple flips and they're like, how do I get more? How do I do more? And it's even for people that are really experienced who want to dial in a process and a structure to get scalability and growth to their business. So it's really for everybody. And it's broken down very simply. And it's basically I remember the first conversation that we had standing around that little island at the Hollywood Hills Market Center.
Yeah.
And I think we were drinking champagne or something. Remember that? And
we were like, celebrating something. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about you guys flipping and living at the houses and doing all the work yourself. And I was so impressed by that. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Okay. These are girls that I gotta get to know. So, and now here we are today. That was back in May. Here we are today, showcasing what you do best, teaching and guiding and mentoring women who want to empower or be empowered through real estate or make money through real estate or build wealth or passive income through real estate, all things through real estate. And that's it.
Yeah.
So,
that's us.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Ian.
Of course. I mean, it was the most awkward introduction possible. Whatever. We're all here. It's awkward.
Okay. It'll get better.
Yeah.
It'll get better.
The third will be the charm for sure.
You guys, I mean, you do what you're going to do, and I'm going to drop off screen. I'm not gone. I'm just not on your screen. Let's just get rocking and rolling with this thing right away. I think there's so much value that you're going to give people.
We're excited to share all the information we have.
Yeah. Definitely. And I'm going to be monitoring all the comments and questions with Aaron on the back end here. So I'll bring them up if people have questions, and let's rock and roll. So let's just make sure you can bring your screen up.
Okay. Let me make sure. Let me just move this real quickly. And we're just going to put on, where are we going to click here?
You're going to click present.
Okay.
Share screen.
And then share screen. Okay.
Does it work?
It'll work. I believe so. Can you guys see it now?
Not yet.
Sure.
Okay. Are we there?
Bing.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Whoops.
Shoot. Okay. All righty. So hello, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you, Ian, again so much for the introduction, the opportunity to work with you with Flip Trader.
Of course.
We do a lot of seminars live, like he mentioned. We're located here in the Hollywood Hills in California. This is where we have our office and where we host most of our seminars. But Ian came to us with the idea of why not a webinar on the Flip Trader. Yeah, and so we were like, you know what, that would be great. Let's hop on. And so here we are. Short plannings, but we made it. So we thank you.
It was time to take you guys national.
I'm sorry?
It was time to take you national because
Yeah,
you're so good at presenting, you're so good at teaching and mentoring. And I was like, man, this needs to be everybody. So once Flip Trader hit my life, I knew Flip Trader had to be in your life too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah,
you take it from here.
A lot of the ladies here local to the Los Angeles market. But of course, we know that there's other women in other states that also want to learn what we're teaching and maybe don't have those female community groups out there or like available to them. So it's our pleasure to be able to extend this to other states as well.
And I feel like one thing that's also really important for us, it's like we're in real estate because we love the flexibility of the timing and everything that we can do with it. But it's just kind of like there's a statistic, and it's interesting to me that 65% of women are real estate agents, but only 3% of them are actually female investors.
Yeah.
So for us, we've always kind of wanted to invest in real estate, and we always were thinking like, well, how are we going to get started? We need to, build the capital. And so then that's why about 4.5 years ago now, we started our own wholesaling company. And so we started doing all of the acquisitions and, training people and building our team. Yeah. And then finally, we just decided to take that leap and start flipping ourselves. And so that's kind of what brought us here. And we're like, you know what? We want other females to also know that they can do this too. And we're here to help them. We're here to show
support and teach them and just kind of guide you through the steps. It was a lot of trial and error for us. But we were able to just put those things together and be able to kind of just show a faster way or not a shortcut, but how do you say it?
Well, just guide them through the process.
Yeah, just guide them through the process and make sure that you're doing everything correctly.
And not make the same mistakes that we made. So we're here to help with that. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and get started. You ladies can see, or anyone that is on live, you can see that we are part of the Female Investor Seminar. So we are teaching women how to fix and flip properties. I did mention that we started wholesaling and everything. That's a little bit of a different route, but we can also teach that as well. But for the sake of this seminar, we're teaching the first 5 steps to get started fixing and flipping your house. Okay? Alrighty. So just a little bit about us. I'm from the Central Valley, from Fresno, California, just a small city. But it's actually growing now. But I moved to LA a few years ago now with the hopes of, getting into real estate. And that's a little bit about me. And we just started flipping not that long ago. And I love to teach. So that kind of brought us with the idea of the female seminar.
Yeah. And me, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I've done sales. Well, I went to college and then I got into sales. And from being in sales, just one day, I was like, I don't want to sell this anymore. I want to sell real estate. And that's pretty much what got me into real estate. And then we ended up meeting each other. And from there on, we created a bond. We realized that we had similar backgrounds and everything like that. So we've been able to work together pretty good since then.
Yeah. All right. So that's a little bit about us. So we want to get started on this. So our mission behind everything is to really empower women with knowledge and the skills to really, take on investment themselves. We want to build that confidence of you know what, you can do it too. So that's kind of our mission, and to change the statistic that I had mentioned before. Instead of it being 3% of women investors, we're hoping to make at least a little bit of a change. And we do know, while doing this, we've met so many incredible women that are just go-getters, ambitious. Mm-hmm. It's just such a great community to be in, and also to start, because you create so many different connections with people, and you just network, and you just never know who you're going to meet. It can be, a person that's going to hop on a deal with you or do something with you or be a lender or hard money, you know? So you never know who you're going to meet. So being part of a community, I think it's super empowering. And it's just a space for us women to continue to kind of, you know.
Yeah, and especially I think what really drove us to create this community of women out here in Los Angeles, just going to a lot of like networking events out here, with the statistic that she said, there's a lot of men in the room. So we go to a lot of these events, and maybe the room could be filled with 100 men and like 10 women. So it's like you can really feel the difference out here, and we really want to make other women feel confident and know that they can also hop on into doing real estate, either fixing and flipping or development, which is typically like a men's thing to do.
It's male dominated, is what she means.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just kind of get to it. We're going to be talking about these 5 steps. It's how to identify a potential property, what to look for. So we're looking at prospecting and comping the area, how we're going to budget for the project. So it's like acquiring it. And then the funding is how you're going to actually fund for it, how you're going to pay for it, and what options are available for you. And then the rehab part, which is how you're going to do the remodel, who to talk to, who's going to get the job done for you. And then the resale of it, which is just the listing of it at the end. Okay, so those are the 5 most important steps to get started. Alrighty.
Step 1.
All right, take it away.
Okay, so step 1, first thing you need to do is find the property that you're gonna flip, right? So different ways to go about this is gonna be really just if you're in real estate or just starting, it's really just going through the neighborhood you're probably already living in, or any like neighboring neighborhoods that you have, and really just paying attention to how much the city is growing. You're going to pay attention to like the school districts there, the market demand. Something that we've noticed a lot is a neighborhood is starting to grow when you start seeing like Sprouts and Trader Joe's and Starbucks and start popping up, right? And those companies take a lot of time to do their market research to know where to put their store fronts at. So once you start seeing those things popping up in a neighborhood, you know that the neighborhood is growing and a lot of people are looking to move in there. And you're also just looking into, maybe if you're going around your neighborhood, just looking to see if like the houses just look a little less updated, have like deferred maintenance, like tall grass, like paint needs to be updated overall. So that's pretty much what it comes to when you're prospecting.
Yeah, I think for simpler words, it's really looking for like the ugliest house of the neighborhood. That is gold for us. That is something that is like a what is it, a diamond in the rough. Like you look for the ugliest house in the neighborhood, that is the one that's going to be making you money. Because obviously the houses that are surrounding it are at a higher value and are worth more once they're, you know, actually more livable, up to standards, up to like the trends that are going on. So yeah, most of those houses are distressed properties. So those are the ones that you want to
go after.
Go after, really. Yeah, definitely. All right. So those are the basics of the prospecting and comping. And there's different ways that you're able to prospect, right? So a lot of people are not agents. If you're not an agent, then you don't have access to the MLS, which is the multiple listing services, but that is okay. You are more than welcome to use the Redfin, Zillow, Trulia. You can drive for dollars, which is literally driving around the neighborhood and like scoping out the ugly house of the neighborhood and pinning it. So that way you can get a hold of the owner of the property and get in communication with them in hopes of purchasing their property. So there's a lot of different ways to find an ugly house. If you use web searches like Redfin and Zillow, you're able to go on the filter and just kind of change it to where it has like at least 50 days on the market, 85 days on the market. Typically, the houses that sit for a longer period of time means that they don't necessarily qualify for an FHA or conventional loan, and do need some repairs. So if an investor, comes across that, then they're most likely going to be offering, a cash offer for that listing. So those are the ones that we want to look at. Because those ones are going to be the ones of a higher possibility of grabbing those deals. Mm-hmm. And so you just have to negotiate the right price. Okay. All right.
Location.
Oh yeah, so important.
So here in LA, I think some of the hot markets in this area are going to be closer to the beach, some in the Inland Empire. So we have areas like Long Beach, Torrance, West Covina, La Mirada, Culver City, some areas in the valley like Van Nuys, Sherman Oaks that are very popular, and a lot of investors are going to. Obviously, if you're in a different market in a different state, just try to do a little bit of market search on Redfin or Zillow, where you see more of those renovated houses popping up, and then you can pretty much get a better idea of what areas are hot, or areas are hot in that market that you're in.
Yeah. And here on the photo, you'll see that these are the properties that are that have recently closed within the last 60 days. I know a lot of people are kind of like, the market is kind of whack right now with high interest rates. Because right now here in California, we're at about 8% interest rate. But don't let that kind of scare you or anything like that. People are still buying. Like, it's a great time to still buy. There's less competition in the market. As soon as the rates go down just a little bit, everyone's going to be coming in, and the prices of the houses are going to go right back up. So it's definitely good to purchase, even if it's at a high interest rate and it's possible. We would definitely recommend to do so, because once the interest rates go down, you just refinance, but at least you didn't have to overpay for a house and go against a lot of people. Okay, so location is really important. One thing that we like to really push for people is your neighborhood better than anyone else at this point, especially if you grew up in the city or in the neighborhood that you're in. So we always recommend looking in your backyard, look around your area, look for the ugliest
your neighbors,
house.
People that know you as well too.
Yeah.
Sometimes in real estate, you can make cold calls, you can try to go about it in ways like that, but sometimes a hot referral or somebody that you have a connection with it's gonna be more trusting for that person to want to sell their house to you. If you're like, hey neighbor, I'm always walking across past your street, past your house, and they recognize you, it's gonna be a lot more trustworthy.
Yeah. So definitely we would always recommend in your own local neighborhood to pick up your first deal. Okay. So that would be the hard market there. All right. So the condition of the home, that is something very important. We did talk a little bit about it, just what to look for. You're looking for outdated outdoor, outdated windows, or if you go inside,
kitchen, bathrooms.
Yeah, if you go outside and you look from the exterior of it, because obviously maybe you don't always get the opportunity to walk in one, but you'll know when they have they have boarded up windows, or they have really tall grass, and you see the roof is just kind of falling apart. Those are the ones to look for. So we can't stress that enough. Those are the ones that you want to get. Yeah. One thing that we recently actually started doing is going to estate sales and also garage sales, because sometimes the owner is just looking to kind of get rid of everything in hopes of possibly selling their home. So those are a great opportunity, especially estate sales. You're able to walk through the property and look inside and see the condition, see how much work it needs. And then you're face to face with the seller or the owner of the home. And you can, flat out ask them, are you interested in selling your home? I'm interested in purchasing it. So that's a way to go about that as well. But we're looking for the signs of something that needs some fixing, because obviously we're looking to get it at a discounted price. And so we have to, the seller is not going to sell something looking really good at a very cheap price.
Yeah.
Okay, so the condition is kind of self-explanatory. We're looking at something really old, and so forth.
Yeah. So there are different types of flips. Obviously, when you're just beginning or to get into real estate investing and you're just starting to flip, you were probably going to look at a project that doesn't have a lot of work to do, right? So we've broken it down into like 3 different flips that there could be. So the first one's going to be lipstick. So it's just sprucing it up a little bit. Maybe the floors are good. It just needs some fresh paint. Maybe the cabinets still look good. Just do a new countertop, new appliances, and maybe just switching up like the lighting and stuff like that. So it doesn't take a lot of work, but you were able to get it at a discounted price, spruce it up, and resell it again for a little bit higher. Then you're gonna have your mid-level flip. That one right there is gonna take a little bit more of work. You're probably gonna take all kitchen cabinets out. You're gonna completely redo the bathroom, completely redo the floors, fresh paint in the inside, fresh paint on the outside. Probably redo the whole all of the landscaping and everything like that. So it's gonna take a lot more work. But just same thing, you're gonna get it at a discounted price. And
that's the most common.
And
too.
Mid-level flips are the most common, especially if you're starting out. But that's also a good way to assure that you're gonna make good profits as well. So your margins aren't too short. And then another type of flip, it's going to be a full gut. So a full gut, there might be some fire damage, there might be mold, there might be like fungus, there might just different things in the house, like termite, some termite effects as well in the house, where you're going to have to take walls down, redo the drywall, maybe redo the floor plan a little bit. Some houses that are outdated have smaller floor plans, or they feel a little bit more enclosed. So I know today something that's more common, it's really seeing like those open floor plans. So you're going to probably want to redo the
restructure the walls.
So restructure the walls and redo the
layout.
The layout of the home. So that one right there is going to take a lot more work, a lot more time, but you can also see pretty good profits as well.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the 3 different types of flips. So whenever we look at something or a lead comes to us and someone is just kind of like, I have this property, so forth. Okay, what's the condition? What kind of flip is it? And then that's when we tell each other, well, it's a mid-level. Oh, this one's just a lipstick.
Yeah.
Or, oh, okay, we got it.
And that's where you kind of start figuring out how much your budget is going to be and if the numbers make sense.
Yeah. All right. So those are the types of flips. Okay. The most important thing after finding the house is and seeing like, okay, this one needs a lot of work. I want this one, but what in the world is it going to be worth after I renovate it? That is the most important number to focus on, because that allows you like the ability to find out what your purchase price has to be at, considering all of the expenses that you're going to have to incur with all of the closing costs, the commission fees, all of that stuff when it goes to resell. And so that is the most important. So that's what we're going to kind of get into now. And that is what we call the ARV, which stands for the after repair value. Okay. So that is what the house is going to be worth once it's already done. So to find the ARV, you want to compare the following. You want to look at the bedroom count, the bathroom count, the square footage of the home, the lot size, how big is it? Out here in California, in Los Angeles, we're in SoCal, lot is very important. Having land out here is very expensive. So comparing those lots, comparing a lot to another lot kind of makes a difference in the price. But again, it does depend in your area, what state you're in as well, because I know there's other states that have acres of land. But yeah, so we put the importance of the lot size over here in SoCal. We do pay attention to when the home was built and also the zoning of the home. So the zoning is essentially the parcel number of the lot size, and that allows us to know what kind of things we're able to build on the lot, if we're able to add multiple units to it, if it's only for an SFR, which is a single family residence. So it kind of gives us an idea of what we're able to do with that piece of property.
And what type of different like exit strategies you might have with it as well.
For sure. That's really important too. That's a great point, because even when you purchase a house, it doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to flip it. Let's just say it's let's just say it's a full gut and you're like, you know what, this zoning permits for us to build an ADU in the back, or I can even do a multi-unit. I can build 3 apartments in the back or so forth, you're able to do that. So then that way it would be just a tear down of that original house of where it was placed. You're able to kind of structure your buildings of where you're going to put it. You can put a front house in the front, and then you're able to put units in the back, or you can build an entire apartment unit. So whatever the zoning permits is what you're able to do with the land. But for this example, I don't want to get too much into something else.
We're just flipping.
At this point, we're just going to focus on the single family residence fix and flip. Okay. But that was just a little extra bonus information. Okay. So that's the ARV. Okay. Let me just move this here. Hold on one second. Okay. So we have an example here of our subject house. So this is how we look for comps in the area. So the comps, like I had mentioned, are going to be houses that compare to your subject house. So our subject house here is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot living space, and a 5,000 square foot lot. R1 zoning. Out here is just regular residential zoning, and it was built in 1980. Let's ignore the red font. Let's ignore all of those prices for the subject house, but let's focus on what's near. So what we like to do when we comp is we typically don't like to go more than a mile radius of where our subject house is. We like to stay in the zip code as well. That's really important. And out here in Los Angeles, you can just cross a street and you're in a completely different neighborhood. So it's really important that you kind of like familiarize yourself with where the subject house is located. Okay, so let's get into a couple of comps that we got. So this is just an example. Okay, so our first one is going to be a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, a little bit of a larger square feet of living space and a little larger of the lot size. So we can tell that it's going to be an extra bedroom. So we're immediately thinking, okay, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So then that one recently sold at $970,000. And these again are California prices. I know that different states are not that expensive. But here, this is pretty typical for a regular house now over here. Our second comp is going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little bit larger of a square feet, just about 150 square foot larger, and a little bit of a smaller lot. But the zoning remains the same, and the year built is pretty much the same as well. And that one sold for $950,750. Then we have our third comp, which is another 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little bit of a smaller square foot of living space, and also a little smaller of the lot size. And that one sold at $915,500. So when we look for the ARV, we really like to be conservative. So we typically take the median of what those ones are. So we add them all together, divide by 3, and we're looking at $945,416. That's kind of the number that we would think to ourselves and say, okay, this is how much the house could be worth. What's a little bit more conservative than that? And we then place our subject house ARV to be at $940,000. Obviously, we leave some wiggle room. We don't want to overprice it and shoot too high, because then our purchase price is affected. And then when that happens, your profit margins begin
and the
to
market's
look real
always
slim.
changing too. So when we look at our comps, we don't go further than 3 months. So we only look at comps within the last 3 months of what's sold, because 3 months or like 6 months from that, maybe the interest rates were different. Maybe the interest rates were lower, people were paying more. But maybe 3 months from now that we're looking, interest rates went up. So now the prices are starting to go down. So you don't want to go past that, because the market's always changing. So
yeah. So that is how you find the ARV. So the ARV for this home would be $940,000 for our subject house. Let's take these numbers and just kind of remember them, because we're going to be working through with this subject house throughout the entire process, so we can get a good idea of what the numbers look like. Okay. All right, so moving on. So I hope everyone has a good understanding of what the ARV is and how to find the ARV. All righty. So just a small little recap. When you are prospecting and comping, you're looking for the days on the market. How long has it been on the market? What issues does it have? Does it look like it's completely outdated? Those are the types of houses you go for. Then you're going to go for the repair costs. How much work does this property need? What is the condition of this home? And then you're going to look at the past sales to find the ARV. What is this house going to be worth? So now that we have those first three little steps, now we're going to go on to what is the most important: how you're going to acquire the property. So what are you going to do to get this under contract? You have your subject house that you're eyeing. You know what it could be worth once it's done. Now, how do I get it under contract for it to be ours and for it to, so we can actually start the project? Okay, so acquisition is just a scary word to say to get it under contract. Okay. Oh, well, there it goes. Putting it under contract. Okay. So there are three types of contracts that you're able to purchase a home with. The most common one is going to be an RPA, which is the residential purchase agreement. Typically, that is going to be done with an agent. So an agent, a local realtor that you have in your area, whichever state that you're in, they will have a RPA, which is going to be a simple contract stating, you know, I'm so-and-so is interested in purchasing your home on 1234 Highway Drive for X amount of money. And that's very commonly used.
And every state has their own RPA. So every state has different laws. So every agent will use what their state has as a contract.
Yeah. And then the next one is going to be an assignment contract. Typically, that's going to be through a wholesaler. So wholesalers are people that are going to be the middleman. They already did the work to comp out and prospect a house and actually has it locked down or locked in an agreement, in a contract at a certain price. And then they're going to be selling it to you for a fee. So they're making money in the middle there. So that would be an assignment contract, because they are assigning their rights to purchase a property over to you. So that is from a wholesaler, from someone else that you're getting the deal from. And then lastly is a purchase agreement, which is going to be coming from yourself. You directly are making an offer to the seller of the home. This one, you do definitely want to be careful to make sure you have all of the right terms in place, and make sure you cover all of the little, make sure you cover your butt pretty much, because in worst case scenario, something kind of happens and you no longer want to purchase a home, or something, the number just doesn't make sense and they're not willing to lower the price even more to make it make sense for you, that you'll have the ability to kind of back out and also collect your EMD if that is something that was already sent to escrow. EMD is an earnest money deposit, which is essentially a good faith deposit stating, hey, like, I'm actually serious about purchasing the house. Here's a down payment for it. So that way they take you a little bit more serious about the purchase of it. So if you guys have any questions of the type of contracts or anything like that, please feel free to comment and ask us. And we will be happy to answer. Okay. A lot of people ask, us, which is interesting. Like, how do you show up and walk to a property, and like, how do you talk to an agent or the owner? And our simple answer is just dress yourself. I would probably not, if I could recommend anything.
Area. Yeah, it depends on the area too.
Definitely. And that definitely matters. But like, you wouldn't want to go looking really flashy, looking very like intimidating to someone that's
like
maybe
money. Yeah,
maybe like to a neighborhood that is might not be too much money, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that first initial how do you say, like, your first impression, it does kind of matter. So I would just say, just dress humbly.
Yeah, don't be too cocky, looking like you have
the
whole world above you. Because some people get turned off by stuff like that. So if you're too flashy, or you're over here trying to like flex your watch or something like that, then the owner
Rolex.
Yeah, then the owner can be like, I don't want your money.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's cash. I don't care how much you're giving me. I don't want your money. Like,
yeah.
And so, yeah, it's better to just be humble, be yourself, and just try to connect with the person.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Build rapport with them.
Yeah.
Don't just get right to the point. Ask them how their day went. It sounds really cheesy, but it really does take you a long way with conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the weather. Talk about their dogs. Talk
sports
about
teams.
sports.
Yeah.
Talk about family holidays. Talk about traditions or anything to kind of get a little bit more like personable with them.
Yeah.
So that would be our recommendation.
Yeah, people are more willing to do business with someone that they see themselves in, or like that they can connect with.
Yeah,
or like relate to.
Yeah, definitely. Like, for an example, we had, for one of our flips, I was talking to this gentleman about, maybe it was about 5 or 8 phone calls by the time we actually got them to sign the purchase agreement. And I was talking about football. Like, I don't know anything about football, but I was doing the dang thing. And then luckily we built enough rapport with them that they felt comfortable to sign and sell us their home. So it does pay off. Sometimes you just got to wing it, and it'll take you far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend building rapport with people. Okay, so going back to
can I say one more thing on the last slide? Just saying one more thing. I know sometimes when you're making cold calls, or when you're trying to talk to owners in person, sometimes one thing that comes to mind to say first is like, oh, I'm an investor. Like, oh, I'm an investor in the area. And just that little word right there can be a turn off, and they'll shut you out, and they'll be like, get off of my front porch, like get off of my property, And so a lot of the sellers or owners that we're typically speaking to, or that are looking to sell, are older. And for them, it's like they rather sell to somebody. They're attached to the home. You have to always remember that they have some type of attachment to the home. So they're going to want to sell to someone that they're going to say like, oh, I know this person's going to take care of it, or bring it back to life, or love the house just like I did. Yeah. But the moment you say investor, sometimes they're just like, no, you're just looking for money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's great advice. That's super great
so
advice.
just always thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So calculating the purchase price. So we already spoke about how to prospect the home, how to comp it, how to figure out the ARV, the after repair value. So now that I know what I can sell it for in the future, what price do I need to purchase it at? So in the bottom, we're gonna have the subject house that we were talking about. So just taking into consideration your renovation, depending on, I know we're here in California, so we're saying $65 per square foot. Is going to be for your rehab. In other states, materials are cheaper, so you might be able to get a lower cost for this. But for the example, we're basing everything from here in California. So $65 per square foot. Typically, when you're getting a hard money loan, the loan is interest payment only. So you're typically going to be holding the loan for the next like 3 to 6 months. Your renovation process might take like a month or 2, or maybe a month to 3 months. By the time you get it listed on the market, it can be listed for maybe depending on how the market is, we're gonna go with an average of 30 days. It'll be on the market, and most escrows typically take a conventional or FHA lender will typically take 30 days to close it. So now we're in this process between like 3 to 6 months. So you're going to be making those interest payments to the hard money loan or lender. You're going to be paying your escrow and title fees. So escrow and title fees come at the beginning and at the end. And so when you first purchase the house and then when you go to resell it. So it's typically about like 1 to 1.5% in the beginning and 1.5% at the end. So we just combined it and said 3% total overall. And then you have your agent commission. So depending on how the deal is structured or depending on the state that you're in, typically in the beginning, you don't have to pay agent commissions. The seller pays the agent commissions. So you only have to worry about paying the agent commissions when you go to resell it, when you go to list the house again and resell it. If you're picking it up from a wholesaler, sometimes the seller isn't paying the commission, and that wholesale fee to get the contract from the wholesaler, you'll have to pay it yourself. But it's all case to case and depending on how the deal is structured. But those are just some costs to take into consideration. So here we're at our subject house. We estimated an ARV of $940,000. The house was 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
So 1,500 square feet times $65 per square feet gives us a rehab amount of $97,500. So that's gonna almost $100,000 for your rehab. And then you have to reverse engineer it, right? So from the ARV, I'm at $940,000. Typically, you want to stay between a 60 to 70% of ARV. So if I do $940,000 times 60%, I would be at $564,000 of a purchase price. And that already takes into consideration all of my costs, all my closing costs, rehab costs, all like lender costs and stuff like that. So best case scenario, if you can get the house at 60%, is a steal of a deal.
Absolutely take the deal.
Yeah, absolutely take the deal. You don't want to go past 70%. In most cases, if the market's a little competitive, you can maybe get away with 75%, but you ideally don't want to go that high if you want to make those profits. So at a 70%, you're looking at a purchase price of $658,000.
Yeah, I do want to add to that a little bit. I know some of you are already flipping. For us, especially because we're teaching people that are wanting to get started into it, we always recommend to be very conservative with purchasing at between 60 to 70% of the ARV. However, seasoned investors, sometimes they already have their own teams. They have their own laborers that can, do all of the remodel for them and not necessarily need to hire a contractor to get the work done. And that alone saves thousands of dollars.
Or they buy materials in bulk or something like that, so they're able to save money that way.
Yeah, but that would allow them to purchase at a higher price of the ARV. So those are obviously some big competitors that are going to be on the market, and you'll see that. But good deals are still out there. You're still able to purchase at 60 to 70% of the ARV to stay conservative, especially considering that it'll be your first deal if you haven't done one already. We would always recommend to just wait it out, even if it takes a little bit longer than anticipated. It's still worth the wait instead of really pushing yourself, I guess.
Or jumping onto something that where the numbers are tighter doesn't make sense necessarily.
Correct. Okay.
So example, here we're just pretty much it's the same thing that I explained in the previous slide, but now we're gonna look at what potential profit you have. So after doing all the numbers, let's say we purchased it at a 70% ARV. Our rehab was about $100K. We only paid the interest payments for 4 months, so we got this deal done quickly. Taking into consideration escrow title fees from the beginning, and then at the resale 3% plus your agent commissions when you go to resell it. After doing all the numbers, we also like to have a little miscellaneous amount just in case you go an extra month of interest payments, or maybe something else in the house came up that
maybe
you
like
didn't,
a
new HVAC or plumbing or something bursted that you didn't see or foresee happening. You always want to have just some money
set aside
for some wiggle room in case anything happens. But after taking all these numbers into consideration, you're looking at a potential profit of $71,929,
which is not bad for 4 months. Yeah. Anyway, that's a steal of a deal. And also to add on with the miscellaneous,
those returns in any other type of investment.
Also with the miscellaneous, if let's just say it was not needed and you just use it, then obviously you would add that, and then your total profit, your potential profit would be $86,000. So just taking that into consideration, that you just want to set it aside as a just in case, not necessarily to have it planned to spend. Okay, because that should already be considered in your rehab. Okay. All right. So again, just to kind of recap a little bit about the cost to consider, this is kind of like more of the breakdown, like by detail. So obviously you want to take into consideration the purchase price, what number you're going to be purchasing at. Then you want to think about, okay, now I'm going to need a down payment for this property. So typically with a hard money loan or a private money, you're looking at about 10 to 20% of a down payment. For closing costs, you're looking at about 1 to 2% for just like the purchase of it, which Jamira had mentioned. At the end of it, you're also going to have to pay for it again. But for the sake of the purchasing of it, it's about 1 to 2% depending on the escrow. If there is a wholesale fee, if you grab it from if you get it from an assignment contract from a wholesaler, then you're going to be paying whatever fee it is that they charge. Typically, they're about $10,000 to $20,000, and that is something this is very important. That is something that lenders typically do not cover. They'll cover the purchase price and so forth, depending on the LTV that they offer. But that typically comes out of the investor's pocket. So just take that into consideration. The rehab costs, of course, that can also be financed through the hard money loan or private money. But that's definitely something to take into consideration, because obviously you don't want to purchase something and having your estimated rehab costs be way more than what you had anticipated. Then we have the interest payments of the hard money loan. Typically the interest right now, depending if you're a seasoned investor or if you're just beginning, they're about 8 to 12% interest, and then a few points. And then also for the purchase, obviously you're going to have to purchase some home insurance just to get the property closed. And then once it comes to the resale of the house, then you're going to have to pay those closing costs and also property taxes for that. So that's just kind of like the breakdown of everything that needs to be paid. Okay. All right. The fun part. Now it's time to figure out, okay, now we've comped, and first we prospect. We found a subject house that we loved. It's an ugly house in the neighborhood. This is the one that we want. We know that the ARV is at $940. We have to purchase it at $658 to get it done. So now where do we go?
We got it locked up.
Yeah, we got it locked up under contract. We're in escrow already. So now we look at the funding. Okay, this is so important. Okay, so there are hard money loans. A lot of people don't know that there are hard money loans or private money or different types of loans. So I'll just start with a hard money loan is just going to be obviously cash coming from a lender. They're going to be typically charging more interest rate than a conventional loan or what you would see from like a bank loan or something like that. But those ones are going to be recommended to either do a hard money or private money. Private money could be also a different lender, and they just have different requirements. They don't check your credit score. They don't check like your background or anything like that. They simply look at the deal to see if the ARV makes sense, the purchase price makes sense, the rehab makes sense, the type of condition the home is in. And then they'll be able to approve you and so forth. But however, with a hard money loan, there are a little bit of extra requirements for it, which is fine too. That's not bad, very common. But typically hard money loans are going to be short-term loans. They're not, typically they don't exceed over a year. 2 years, over 2 years.
Depends on the
months.
lender.
Yeah, definitely depends on the lender,
Yeah.
and also depends on how much work your property actually needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're looking at a lipstick, they're not going to give you 12 months. They want their money back a lot faster than that.
Yeah.
And obviously you wouldn't want to pay so much in interest if the project doesn't take that long anyway.
Yeah.
So typically they're more of short-term loans. They are interest-only payments for both of them, both private and hard money. So what that means is that when you're in the project and you're already started, they already funded it and everything like that, everything that you're paying monthly is only interest payments, which means when you're done with the project, then you pay the entirety of the loan. So that is something very important. It does no payments during the duration of the project goes towards the principal of the loan. So that's really important. So that brings us to number 3, which is then the balloon payment at the end of the term. So once the house is sold, then that's obviously they get their cut of everything, and then whatever is left will be your profits after all of the other closing costs and everything like that. And then relatively, it is easier to get less underwriting, which is just kind of like a really fast process. You're not having to wait 24 to 30 days to close a house. There's a lot of lenders out there that are able to close within 2 weeks, just because they don't require any appraisals or inspections on the home or any repairs done by the seller or anything like that to meet a certain condition requirement of the home, because they understand that you are purchasing the property as is, and you're going to be taking on any damaged parts of the home or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And then also it's a great option for, flipping and rehabbing, because they also can fund the rehab portion. So it is kind of a little bit different of how they do it. Of course, you have to start off with the initial amount of money to get the project started. And then they would do what we call draws. And so you spend that money, then you would have to send them a photo or a video to show them proof that work had already been done and that you spent X amount of money. So then you send that over to them, and then they will essentially refund you the money back. So you're just kind of like recycling the money throughout the project until you get to, obviously using your entire funds of it. So those are hard money loans. I know that we didn't put much of the private money on here, but I do want to mention private money doesn't only have to be from someone like a super big lender. It can be family members. It can be your aunt, your uncle, your grandpa, your friends, somebody that wants to, have some extra cash. And, you present this opportunity to them and they lend you the money for it for an interest fee or whatever, but that will also that's obviously ideal, because then you don't have to necessarily pay monthly payments, and you can structure that however you choose to structure it. Okay, so again, to qualify for a hard money loan, they're going to look at your credit score, your experience meaning like at least like 1 to 3 deals under your belt. And then that will allow you to kind of negotiate a little bit more of like the interest rate that they give you on the loan.
And also the LTV.
Yeah, and also the LTV, which stands for loan to value. So typically what that means is if they have like a 80% LTV, then that means you are liable for putting the 20% down. If they have a 90 LTV, then you only have to put 10% down, which can completely change your buying criteria and how much you can actually spend. Because obviously 20% down is way more than 10% down.
Yeah.
So that's something to take into consideration. But as newbies and people that want to get started, 20% down is very, very common, and it's doable. Your numbers are still going to make sense with the 60 to 70% of the purchase price of the ARV. So we have that taken into consideration. You're still going to make profit with that. Our example is with the 80-20 LTV. The type of home, location, and ARV. So that's a different, they're going to look at the deal as well. They're going to see, is it an SFR? Okay. Where is it located? Okay, it's a good area. And what's the ARV? 940? Okay, this is a good deal. Then what they'll do is a scope of work, especially if you're looking to have them finance the property as well, right? So they're going to ask you how much work does it need? Does it go through like the windows, new walls, the drywall, the roofing, the everything? They will go through every little detail for that to get a proper estimate of how much is going to be needed. And then most importantly, they want to know what your exit strategy is, whether it's to buy and hold it. So you're wanting to buy, which is what we would consider the BRRRR method. So you buy it, you renovate it, you rent it out, and then you refinance, and then you repeat, but you would refinance to a DSCR loan, which is an investment loan. Or you're willing to just sell it, just a quick fix and flip, or if you're just wanting to hold it. So there's different exit strategies on this one, but they're going to want to know what your plan is, so that way they know where their money is going towards. Okay. Then we move on to what are the terms like? We kind of talked a little bit about that, about them typically being a little bit higher interest than traditional mortgages like bank loans. But we also want to take into consideration, we get this question asked a lot is, well, can we purchase it with a bank loan because it's a lower interest rate? That's going to be very tricky, like yes and no. It depends what your exit strategy is first and foremost. Because if you're planning to just keep the house and just buy it at a little bit of a discounted price, so that way you have money to rehab it, then sure, go for it. But the condition of the home is extremely important, because when you go through an FHA or conventional loan, they require a lot of upkeep of the house. So it needs to meet appraisal, it needs to meet inspections, make sure, like even just like for the FHA, a heater has to work. It doesn't have to have AC, but if it has a heater that's not functional, then it does not qualify for an FHA. And that would require for the seller to have to fix it before the sale even happens. But that's not what we're going for, because we're offering our sellers to purchase their property as is with no updates. They don't have to add not even a single penny more to get the house sold. So typically traditional mortgages do not qualify for houses that we're looking at, or the potential or the ideal houses that we look for. So that's why we turn to either hard money or private money lenders. The points in the origination may be charged up front. So if they charge, for example, hard money lenders are going to be, it's a 10% interest rate with 2 points and also an origination fee, which is just, in simple words, it's just like for them creating the contract or the loan, then they get paid a percentage of that. So typically the origination is about 1 to 2% of the purchase price of what they're, of the loan. So that's just to give you an idea. There are no prepayment penalties. I know that some lenders do have it, so it's definitely important to ask your lender and who you go with about the prepayment penalties, because let's just say we got the subject house, and I got it for 8 months, 8-month term, but we finished it in 4 months. They're gonna if in this situation, if they had the prepayment penalties, and that means I have to wait all the way till the 8 months to expire to not get charged a prepayment penalty.
Yeah.
So making sure that
they're in the business of making money. So
yeah,
they're trying to get those interest payments.
Yeah, that's really important for them. So it's important to ask your hard money lender if there's any prepayment penalties.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, most commonly, we see that there's not.
Yeah.
The rehab portion, it can be finance as well. Like I mentioned, that's something that you can add onto there. You do have to, that does require more money down, because that's going to be obviously more money that you're borrowing.
Yeah. And not all hard money lenders have finance. That. Yeah, they don't all finance the rehab portion. So you also have to ask them that.
Yeah. And then also the rehab cost cannot be more than the value of the home, which is typically not as common here in California, considering that the houses are extremely high over here, are very pricey. But I assume that other states, might have a lot cheaper houses. And so sometimes like the rehab can surpass the purchase price of the home. So that's something definitely to consider. If the rehab does surpass the purchase price, let's just say we're in a different state at this point, and we end up getting a steal of a deal, and the house we can buy it for $20,000, but it needs a $50,000 renovation, then I would recommend just kind of like figuring out a way to out pocket or get private money to finance the rehab part. So that way you can do that. Okay. So to quickly kind of give us an example, we're also still talking about our subject house. So for an example, if we purchased it at $658,000, the rehab estimate is at about $97,500, and your ARV is at $940,000. You're looking, and the down payment for this hard money loan is going to be an 80/20 LTV, which means the loan to value, right? So they're loaning you 80% of the total of what you're looking to borrow. So you're going to put 20% down, which puts you at $131,600 for the down payment of the hard money loan. So that does not include the closing costs of the property itself. So you're looking at the escrow fees, the title fees, and that's about it. Am I missing anything? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, just if you have to pay like wholesale fees or anything like that.
But. Yeah, but that's not taken into consideration on that one. So then your down payment for the just the hard money loan itself, we're looking at about $131,600. Okay. All right. So now is the fun part.
Rehab. Of course, in the projects that we've done in the past, we've done most of the work ourselves. But obviously, if that's not something that you're up to or able to do, maybe you have a job or something like that and you don't really have the time, that's when you would hire a contractor to get it done. But this is the fun part.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you first get the property, we always advise people to walk the property with an inspector and contractor. At times you can purchase the home and maybe say like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, but there's things that are not visible to the eye. Things like electrical, plumbing, the HVAC stuff that you are not able to see on your own, and you might not know that you need to fix. And so coming with an inspector, that allows you to know when they do the inspection, like they let you know like, hey, these things also need to be fixed, or I would make sure to update this or repair it or something like that. If you don't catch those things early on and they creep on at you later on, then you'll
dig into your miscellaneous
pile. Yeah. So you want to be able to budget things correctly and not have things surprise you towards the end, or like in somewhere in your project where your rehab costs, now you have to add more onto your rehab cost or stuff like that. And it's also important, if you're going to hire a contractor to do the work, bring in at least 2 to 3 contractors at the beginning of your project and get different estimates from them, and kind of see how much they charge. Sometimes the cheapest is not always the best option.
Yeah. They say that if you pay for really cheap, you end up paying more than getting it done right the first time.
So you also want to take into consideration what kind of work have they done in the past. Are you able to go see some of their projects? Do they have pictures of their projects that they've done in the past? But just, this is a good way to also just get what their costs are as well from the beginning.
And just to piggyback on that as well, it's important to contract the right contractor, because that is probably the most scary part, is trusting somebody, not only with a lump sum of money up front first to get the property or the rehab started. I would say talk to them, ask them if they have a contract of their own, promising certain things like the time frame, the estimate of the cost, warranties after, if things like, let's just say something was not done correctly, but you're in the time of inspection for the sale of the home. They are able to then fix it for you with no extra fees or any charges after that, because you've already paid them to do the work already. So that's something important to take in mind as well. So yes, so making sure that you have a good contractor is very important. Okay.
And the rehab, here we are doing most of the work in the houses that we did. So in the rehab, you're going to look at your scope of work, which typically when the lender will give you a scope of work, but you should also have one for yourself, just for your project management and knowing what it is that you're going to do. You're going to be outlining all the repairs, improvements, and upgrades that you're going to be needing. So just marking down, like, if you're going to redo all the flooring, if you're going to be doing all the baseboards, if you're going to be doing all new cabinets, all new closet doors, all new doors throughout the house. Just taking note of everything that you're going to be doing for the project, so that way you can stay on top of the list that you have to complete the rehab. You're going to prioritize your renovation. It's going to be based on things that are most important for a home buyer and end home buyer. A lot of those things are curb appeal is very important.
Yeah, that's the first impression. That's the first thing they see as soon as they drive up to the driveway. They're going to see the outside. So they want to make sure, like, oh, okay, like this house looks nice.
Yeah. And they're going to know that the house is being renovated. So if it looks nice outside, they know work is being done in the inside as well.
Or at least they can hope that it looks nice inside.
Yeah. But that was one really good tip that we got during your rehab period. Sometimes getting the outside done first is very important, because even though you're still working on things in the inside, people are going to be driving through the neighborhood and they know that this house is getting work done, and maybe
it's going to hit the market.
They know it's going to hit the market soon, so you're already going to start having eyes on it. Other important things that an end home buyer looks at is also going to be the kitchen. Everybody loves the kitchen.
The heart, honestly, the kitchen is the heart of the home.
Yeah.
It is the place where a lot of families gather for holidays, for birthdays, obviously a nice home
and even
cooked
just
meal
your daily tasks
great.
too. Yeah, daily tasks. If you have a family, that's pretty much where everyone's going to be gathering. So you want it to be a space that's optimal in your daily tasks and open, or like
it just has to look beautiful.
Yeah,
really.
nice enough for your family
to make it look beautiful.
Spend time there. And then the bathroom is also very important. So those are like the top places to prioritize in your rehab. And then just we already talked about it, getting different quotes from different contractors so you can get a better, accurate budget for your rehab.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So just to kind of give a little bit more detail of the scope of work, we want to put that emphasis on it because it's definitely really important to take into consideration all of the things that a home requires. It's as simple as someone doesn't think about the demo being some type of expense, but to break things down is expensive. So you're looking at the demo, the foundation of the property, making sure that everything is level, the framing is put together good and still stands strong. There's no termites, no old wood or anything like that, that the HVAC is still in working condition and it's still relatively, I want to say, newish. So that way it's like the air filters really nicely throughout the house, that the windows are new, and all the same, the bathrooms, the kitchen. It literally, the scope of work will give you very detailed brackets to really take into consideration, not miss anything on there. So this next slide is going to show you what the scope of work looks like. So this is typically what the sheet is going to look like if you're getting it from a hard money lender. They're going to ask obviously for like the main the project information of like what the address is, how many bedroom, how many bath, what's the square footage, all of those little details to obviously create the profile of the home, of the subject home. And then that's when you're able to look at electrical, or if you need to pay for an architect, or change the structure, like stuff like that, things that we wouldn't necessarily think about, but it also acquires for the plans and permits and that expense and everything like that. So they want everything very detailed. Now, as a beginner in this is not something that you should be intimidated by. This is typically something that also a contractor is able to help you with, and they should also provide a bid for you with the broken, like with their scope of work. Yeah, with their scope of work and their time frame of everything like that. So that way you're better able to know what your number is and how much money you should be asking for your hard money lender to give you as a rehab part. So if anyone wants a copy of what the scope of work and what it would look like, feel free to leave a comment down below. That way we can get that over to you and also send you
our 5-step guide.
Yeah, our 5-step guide as well. But we'll include this scope of work just to have an extra eye on it, to like really look at what exactly it is that it takes to build a house or renovate a house.
We want you to be as well prepared as possible for your first flip. So some of these things, we as wholesalers, when we first started wholesaling, we didn't see these things. So once we started getting into flipping is when we started seeing a lot of these things. So we want you ladies to be as prepared as possible and not have these things come at you as a surprise.
Yeah. Once it came to us, we're like, what is this?
Yeah, we're like, what is this? We have to
I told you I need a new floor, a new kitchen.
Yeah, we're over here trying to like figure it all out.
Yeah, so. And then you have to like justify the amount of rehab that you're initially requested. But yeah, so this is really good to just kind of have and to look over and just kind of give yourself an idea like, oh, I didn't realize that it needed for the plans and permits. I didn't think about that. But sure enough, it does say that on here. So it's just some expenses to take into consideration. Okay. Our favorite part, or my favorite part, is the design.
I trust her in this process.
Yeah, thank you. So I've always loved like watching like the remodeling shows on TV. Like that was always my thing, which also that is not the truth. Like
it was my thing for sure. But I'm not that good at it.
No, but what I'm saying is like it's not the same as you see it on TV. It's definitely more complicated than they make it seem on TV, and there's a lot more steps that need to be done. However, it's just as fun as you see it on the shows. But let's just say that you're not that good at designing. Maybe you don't have a good eye or anything like that.
Or you don't know what's trending.
Or you don't know what's trending. I would always recommend going on Pinterest. Pinterest has a lot of great inspo of what's trending in the market right now. But also, most importantly, look in the neighborhood that you're in. Look around and kind of look at your comps and see what kind of detail did they put. Did they put all white everything, like all of the kitchen cabinets and the quartz countertop with little sparkles,
Mhm.
or did they do a quartz countertop Calcutta that looks like a marble? So it depends kind of like the trends that are in, and it's always changing. We've already gone through like the gray flooring. We've
That
gone through
Spanish
like
style tile.
yeah, we've
I don't know
got
what
there's
it's
so
called.
many different trends that
Trends,
go
yeah.
on. So I would always recommend looking around your neighborhood, what is trending in the houses or like that have been done around you. And then also what's trending on the market, or if you're, because we have to take in mind that even though we have creative ideas and we feel like, oh, like this could just look so perfect, we have to remember that if we were to make that decision and follow through with that, that our audience is going to be a lot smaller, because now it has to be a very particular buyer that loves your style, that you decided to do like an orange kitchen or something like that with like a blue backsplash. So just like little things like that to take into consideration. And then so yeah, so that's just some like to get some inspo, get some ideas of what to do, what type of materials to purchase. And obviously you want to make sure you purchase materials that make sense for your area. That's very important. You're not going to put a brand new like marble everything when the like a crystal chandelier when the neighborhood doesn't call for it. If it's a little bit more of like a lower middle class, you're not going to put that type of material. You want to make sure that you stay somewhat
in your
similar.
budget. Don't go over budget trying to outdo,
super spruce it up. Because then once you do that and you start purchasing even more expensive materials, your profit is looking smaller and smaller every time you do that. So obviously you want to try to maximize your profit on every design and every home that you do. Obviously keeping it trendy, but also keeping it very affordable. So that's really important. So if you don't trust yourself and you feel like your vision boards don't really do much justice or anything like that, or maybe you just don't have the time, or you just don't care about it and all you want to do is just make the money, that's great too. You can hire somebody to do the design for you, but obviously take in mind that you're going to be paying a fee for their service as well. So for the design, look for what's trending in the neighborhood. Don't always make it about your own self-taste of what you like. Think about what the masses would like, because your goal is to sell this as soon as it hits the market.
Don't get too attached to the home.
Definitely don't do that. Okay. Now
demo day.
It's a fun part.
This is fun and a lot of work. So for demoing, for demo day, you can go two ways, or there's different ways to go about it. If you have the time, you can take it on yourself and save yourself some money. Maybe throw a demo day party, invite some friends and family if they want to help out.
A stress reliever.
Get everyone to start hammering things out, and you can save money that way. Or if not, you can hire a crew, hire the dumpster. And how much is that typically around?
Like 500, 400 for the dumpster.
For the dumpster, but to hire the crew.
Typically your contractor would do it.
Yeah. So that could cost you money as well. But that's pretty much it. Just getting rid of everything that you're gonna rehab or redo.
Yeah. So that is us, or that's me right there. Demoing the floor. It was super old carpet there, and obviously like the cushion on the bottom like got stuck to the floor, so we had to like with a shovel kind of like scrape it off. Okay. So this is us doing the renovation. This is kind of a fun inspo photos. We like to, show it as inspo photos that like us girls can do it too, like us ladies can. So we are self-proclaimed electricians,
plumbers, cabinet installers,
tile cutters,
drywall installation,
everything, painters. We are self-proclaimed.
We had a little joke. It was called as seen on YouTube, or YouTube University.
Yes. So YouTube
this was
definitely
really fun for us.
Yeah.
But a reason that we decided to do a lot of the work, one, it saved us money, but it also allowed us to really learn what all the material costs were, to really know what it took to to rehab the home. Like, yes, we put tile down, but it's not just about buying tile. You also have to have the cement costs in there and the grout costs in there, and like
you have to mix it.
and you have to mix it, and there's just like little different things, or like putting up the drywall or putting up the cabinets. It's not just about buying the drywall and the cabinets. You also got to buy the nails, and you got to buy just different
the
little
6x4s to be able to hold it on the wall.
Little different materials. Doing the drywall, it's not just about putting up the drywall.
I thought
you
it was about
you have to put the tape down and the
compound.
and so it's just like little different things that go into it as
not
well.
only that, but I think also I'd like to add on, like I always thought and I told Jamira too, and I'm like, why don't we just put the drywall like
upwards?
Yeah,
upwards, so it can cover the whole wall.
Yeah, and it was like, why can't we do that? And she's like, no, we can't. That's not like it's not for code. I would have just thought it was just super easy, because why are we going to make several cuts? But anyways, it's because it's per code. Yeah. So that was interesting too. Yeah. But it was such a fun experience, I think, like doing that. And I feel like as women, it's very important to like know these things, maybe not necessarily do the work if that's not something that you're wanting to do. But for me and Jamira, I had told her like, girl, let's go do this and learn for ourselves. Because obviously we're going to run into certain situations that are unfortunate. And sometimes, obviously I know that everyone is out to make money, right? But I definitely wouldn't want to feel taken advantage of, especially in this kind of field stuff or this type of work, just considering that we're women.
It's male dominated too.
Yeah, definitely. So it's very important for us it was very important for us to like dive into the work and do the work ourselves. If you ask us now, like, I feel like it's funny because we had gotten a quote from somebody to scrape off like popcorn, like the popcorn ceiling off of the ceilings. And they quoted us like $800 or something like that, to do a room or two.
Yeah.
To do a room or two.
And we needed a couple rooms.
And I said, you know what? No, we can do this. Like, we're going to save some money. But we were out there scraping, and we're like, it's worth $800. Like, I'd rather pay that money because it was just so like difficult, and it was just doing too much. That it's just so much easier.
Time is money. There's things that you should probably just pay for someone to do, like the wood flooring, or like doing all the flooring throughout the houses. We just hired someone to do it because obviously that's something that you don't want to get wrong.
Yeah, that's very important.
And it takes a lot of time too. So we just hired someone to do that because it was going to take us a while.
But if you ask us now about our flips now, we're going to definitely be hiring instead of doing the work ourselves.
But now we know. And even the electrical too, this guy had quoted us. What was
we had about 50, a little bit over, like it was like 53 outlets. And I had asked him like, how much is it going to cost to change all 53 outlets? And he quoted me like $750. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, well, how much do you charge per outlet? And he was like, it runs about like $10. And I said, well, then that should be about $500. Yeah, like $530.
Not seven something.
Yeah, so. Not 700. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I'll give it to you for that much. I'm like, no, you know what? Now I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So it's good to know the cost of all these things, and so you don't get taken advantage of in this industry.
Yeah, so definitely very important. And it's also very fun. It's very, very fun if you really enjoy that stuff. So obviously we don't have all of our makeup and our nails and all of that while we're doing the work, but it was just such a great experience that we love to talk about it, and we love to encourage others to do it too. Okay, so that's the renovation. So once the renovation is complete, these are actually our work. So our bathroom, you'll see that from the demo photo, that's what the before looked like. And then that's our after. And then we also have that kitchen. We bought a kitchen essentially with nothing in it, but just a sink and the stove. And then we put together a new kitchen, installed the cabinets, the hood, the shelving, all of the backsplash and then also an entryway for a home as well. And so these are just a few examples of some of the work that we've done, but it is the best part to see the transformation from before to after, especially having them side by side. And I'm excited to for you ladies to have that experience too, because I feel like it's just such a proud moment. So yeah, that's typically just what it's supposed to look like, the before and after. The after obviously looks better than before. Very self-explanatory. And finally, we get to the resale of the home. So you
gotta let go of your baby.
Yeah. So we're hoping that we didn't run too fast about everything. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, please leave a comment down below so that way we can get back to you and answer any questions. We're just kind of trying to make this not so long of a live.
And keep it simple.
Yeah, and keep it simple. One thing I would like to say before we get to the resale part, because a lot of people have the misconception that you make money when you sell the house. It's actually quite the opposite. You make money when you buy the house, because as soon as you buy it at a discounted price, you already have so much equity into the home. So essentially, when you buy it, you already have that much equity, but then you just have to put the work in to take it out. So I feel like it's a better way of thinking about it, instead of thinking that you make your money at the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll do the resale. Yeah. So once you're done with your project and you're getting ready to list it, you're going to meet with your agent. So, yeah, we're also agents. Yeah. We do it all. So your agent is going to be your market expert, right? So at the beginning, you did your homework, you comped the house, you figured out the ARV, the after repair value. And you're like, okay, so let's say it took you 2 months to purchase the house, right? But you were looking at months or at comps from 3 months before that. So now within that time period, maybe the prices have changed a little bit. So you always want to meet with your agent, give them what you saw, and then also let them do their own homework and their own market research and come up with a listing price as well of what they think.
Yeah, I would definitely wait for them to give you the number first before you give them yours.
Yeah, so then that way they're not trying to go off of your number. Yeah. So have them do their market research. They're going to come back with the most recent comps that they can find in the area, and you're going to run your listing price off of what you guys both decide. And then so you're going to set a competitive list price, and then also let your agent also has to understand that you're in it to make a profit. So even if the market has changed, their duty to you as an agent is to make sure that you're profitable and that you're not going negative in your project as well. So they have to understand how much wiggle room you really have when it comes to later on into the negotiations. But once you have set that price with your agent, you're going to get ready to list the house. After renovation, there's just a lot of dust and little scrap materials here and there. So you want to make sure you get any extra material out of the house, or you can leave it there as extras for the new owner if they need extra paint or extra whatever is left behind. But you want to make sure to get that dust out of the house, and you might have to re-clean it maybe 2-3 times to make sure it's spotless. Staging the home is very important as well. It really allows people to get a feel for how they can furnish the house, or how they can, It
makes them feel more at home.
Yeah, that too. And sometimes people can't imagine it, or some rooms can be a little bit awkward sometimes,
or look too small.
Yeah, so
but it really fits like a king size bed.
Yeah, so you really need a stager to come in there and really bring the house to life and give that experience to the new buyers that are going to come in. Yeah. Curb appeal, super important. You want it to be the baddest house on the block.
It went from the ugly to the baddest.
Yeah, from the ugliest to the baddest house on the block. So curb appeal is going to bring people to your home. They're going to want to live there. If they purchase a home, they're gonna be so prideful of owning that home to be like, everyone loves this home. They wish it was theirs. And you're also gonna make sure to hire a really, really good photographer and videographer. So sometimes
that will be the job of your agents.
Correct. That is, all of this is, a lot of it is the job of the agent. Beware with some agents like to just take iPhone or phone pictures of a house.
No.
I do not allow an agent to do that. Do not allow an agent to do that. You can really tell based off the quality of the photos when they go to list the house and they upload those photos. It can really, I don't want to say it can make or break the deal. You really want people to come and see it in person, but how would you say it? Like
your first impressions matter, because you don't want a room to look small. You want a lot of light. Like, I feel like
you don't want a pixelated picture either.
We're sure that you'll pick the right agent for you that you will see their listings and you can see like their photos and the quality work that they do. So you'll be able to have a little bit of a better judgment to pick the right one. But it does make a really big difference, because not only do the photos look very small if they're taken on the iPhone, but they look really small online. Whereas if you have like a quality photographer, or your agent has a quality photographer, which I'm sure they do. Some of them do have in-house photographers that specialize in home photography. Yeah, because it's very different from taking a nice portrait of yourself or having, taking nice photos of people than to take a nice photo of the home, to like really emphasize like the size of it, or to kind of bring it, like get the right angle to make sure you get the entire living space, and so forth. So that's very, very important for sure. The professional photos for sure.
And then when choosing an agent too, you want to make sure that they're going to do the most to sell your home and to get you the best offers as possible. So depending on what market you are, out here in California, homes go pretty quickly if they're up to par, if they're renovated. So in other states, it really depends on what the buyer's market is looking like. But if the market is slow, you want an agent to really be on top of marketing. You want them to be active on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. You want them to pass out flyers. You want them to put up all types of signs so your home is visible to everyone, to the buyers that are out there, even the buyers that might not be looking to buy yet, but they're like, that's exactly the house I want, and they get ready for it. They get ready to purchase it. You want your agent to do all that type of work, and it really matters for us too. Sometimes I'm like, when we've had a couple listings or like flips that we've had ourselves, we've listed them ourselves, but it's also been like, if we did one out of state, so we were like, you're like, is that agent gonna put in the amount of work that I'm gonna put into it, So just trusting your agent, making sure you pick the right one.
Not only that, but I feel like we've also had like the recommendation or the suggestion from other investor friends that we have. They said like, yes, we're agents and everything, but also having someone that's going to like literally put all of their time and energy on your listing is probably a little bit better, because they're also not emotionally attached to the property. Obviously, like, you work on something, it's your baby, especially if it's your first one, and you feel like, no, the price has to be this much. I just know it, but it doesn't sell and it just sits on the market. It's just because you priced it emotionally and not logically for like what the market is actually asking for, or like values it. So, I mean, also for us, it's just like, we'll still take on like our listings and stuff like that. But, or like for other investors that we know, like we'll take on their listings when they're all done for their project. Because at that point, they're just looking for their next one. They're not too worried about listing it unless they have someone in-house, like an agent for them that specializes in that. And then that's a different structure. But anyway, marketing is very important.
Yeah. So once you get the word out there, your house is for sale, or your flip is for sale, the agent's going to be in charge of doing all the showings. So they're going to be showing the house. They're going to host brokers open. So they'll get all the local agents to come and view it first for whatever buyers they may have in mind. Then they'll do public open houses. Typically, it's during the weekend, so they might take 1 or 2 weekends out of the month to host the public open houses. And then once they're done with that, people are going to want to come see it again, or you're going to have other agents reaching out to you that they want to bring in their buyers as well. So they'll host private showings as well. So agents in charge of doing this.
Yeah. Okay.
And really being knowledgeable about your property as well. When they do those showings, you want to be able to let them know what materials you used, whether like what kind of countertops you did or what kind of flooring you used.
Yeah.
And you want to.
Is it from Italy? A tile from Italy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Istanbul.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so you really want them to you want the agent to sell the house as well and know all the information that they need to know.
Yeah. The goal is obviously to always go above asking price.
Yeah.
So that's a goal.
Okay. So once you do your showings, you're going to start receiving offers in. Your agent will start getting offers from other agents, and they will start presenting them to you. Once you guys look through all the offers, your agent will they'll explain all the terms of the offers that you start getting in, and then you start the negotiation from there. You look at the ones that look better than the others. You can either accept one or you can send out a counter offer if you get multiple offers that come in, and you start the negotiation process from there.
Yeah. And it's important for like agents to go through all of the offers with you, because sometimes people that are not agents and are not used to seeing a lot of offers and like different terms, like the terms are what makes the offer. So like someone as like a regular person can say, oh, I want to get the offer that's at let's just, for the sake of our examples, we'll stick with our subject house. Our asking was at $940, but they said, oh, I want to offer $960 for the house. But then, and you're thinking like, oh, like that's a great offer, like I want to take it. But in the terms, they say they want a $20,000 seller's credit. And then you're like, wait a second. So that actually takes you back down to the $940, which is like not what you initially thought. But it's really important to look at those details and make sure that your agent actually looks at that stuff, like every little term.
Yeah. And so once you decide or accept an offer to go with, these offers, if you got a cash offer, that's awesome, that's great. But if not, they're usually going to be financed. It's going to be an FHA loan or a conventional loan. And like we mentioned in the beginning, those type of loans require certain conditions to be met for the house, right? So they're going to require an inspection to get done, and they're also going to send out an appraiser. And so the house also has to appraise. With the inspector going through, obviously you renovated everything, but sometimes we miss things, or certain things don't get repaired, or we're like, just leave it like that. And so an inspector will come do their inspection. And if they see things that weren't up to par or need to be redone or something like that, then they'll ask the seller to redo certain things or redo the repairs or something like that. Mm-hmm. But hopefully this isn't too big of a deal since the house is completely renovated.
Yeah, and not only that, but we're hoping that you have this agreement with your contractor.
Correct.
That if anything were to pop up, they would be the ones fixing it. So it's
at no extra cost.
Yeah, no extra cost, no expense to you. They would just come in, fix it, no big deal.
Yeah. So you shouldn't have too many repairs as a flipped home. But if you do, hopefully they're just minor. And then once you get past that part and the house gets appraised, the lender wraps everything up and your deal is closed. They do the final walkthrough. Everything looks good. Everyone signs documents and you cash out and you've sold your first flip.
Woo!
Maybe. Hang on one second. You guys still there? No, we might have wrapped this already. All right. Well, let's say this. I guess that's a wrap. All right, guys. Thanks for watching Flip Trader Female Investor Seminar. We're going to bring this back next month. If you liked it, make sure you reach out to Ellie and Jamira. Make sure you comment down below, ask any questions you want, get clarity. Remember, this thing is an overview of a really simple and easy setup and structure for your business. And yes, some of these concepts are very basic. However, the basics is how you build a great business. When the basic foundation is set, you can build a really great business with it. So look forward to a lot of stuff coming up in November. Again, just launched the Flip Trader Female Investor Seminar and networking group and mastermind. So if you want to be a part of that, just reach out to me or reach out to Aaron. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened here. It's not letting me log out. This is very strange. All right. Okay, hang on.
technology and how, you know, we're streaming to 3 different places right now.
I hung up on him.
Why?
Because I couldn't hear anything.
That was helpful.
Uh-oh.
I think
Now we're having sound issues.
Up. I just want to make sure you have like a good closing.
Now there you are.
Can you hear me? No. All right. Flip Trader Group, thanks for watching. First female investor seminar. They get this one was awesome.
Can't hear
Maybe
you.
the end could use a little bit of
And you're just
the end could use a little bit of I don't know. It's all good. We roll with things. It's all good. We roll with it. I hope you guys had a great time, learned a lot. Make sure you drop your questions, comments, reach out to Ellie and Jamira for more help. They're incredible mentors, incredible coaches, and we love having them here. They just dropped off, so their internet dropped again, but really big thank you to them and for their time and their information and their expertise. And we'll catch you on the next one.